Hi, and welcome to Source Seers. I'm Love.
And I'm Tylynn. We're two Los Angeles-based witches who were brought together by fate with one mission.
To translate wisdom from Source and provide spiritual knowledge for the collective.
We're here to explore psychic stories, pop culture predictions, trauma healing, ancient knowledge, astrology, tarot, and so much more.
Source Seers is here to shine the spotlight on how the mystical realms are interwoven into the very fabric of our everyday lives.
Yeah!
Okay, so a little addendum to this episode. Basically what happened was we finished the episode and then we went to dinner and we were still talking about everything.
Yeah.
And we uncovered a bombshell.
Bombshell. We were missing a whole piece to the story.
We weren't looking at all of the suspects.
Yes.
It's a court case. I'm like put your sleuthing glasses on.
Yeah.
It's like the library is open. So what am I referring to? That makes no sense to you.
It will make sense.
Ryan Reynolds' chart. So we were looking so far at Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni because those are the two main people involved in this. However, Ryan Reynolds has been very involved in this and has contributed a lot to this. Yep. And it is shocking. It is shenanigans. Okay, go ahead, Tylynn.
Okay, so we discovered that Ryan and Justin have very similar astrological placements. So we'll give you the tea on that. They are both Virgo risings. And like we mentioned with Blake, she has a whole Virgo stellium. So there is automatically that feeling of comfortability and familiarity with that Virgoan energy.
And she has it in her second house. So it's like she feels valued by both of these people.
Yes, exactly.
Or she sees them as valuable.
And this is the kicker. They both Ryan and Justin have Scorpio stelliums.
That was a gay squeal if we were putting captions. Squeals and gay. Okay, yes. So number one, having the same rising means your entire chart is, the houses are aligning, right? So your rising sign determines where your first house starts. So both Justin and Ryan have the same exact sign in each house, each area of their life. So that means that they experience things similarly, potentially, or they think about things similarly, potentially, or just things have happened in their life similarly because of the placements being all in the same houses.
What's really notable is that they both have the signature of the moon, which, like we talked about for Justin, the moon is considered to be in her fall in the sign of Scorpio because she exalts in the sign of Taurus. And they both have Mars, who is domicile at home in the sign of Scorpio, conjunct their moon. So they both have this level of intensity when it comes to their emotional needs, their emotional expression. The emotional body and the physical body are interwoven when you have this placement.
And I think that you see that in their work too, right? Like Ryan Reynolds plays like Deadpool and like intense like superhero characters.
Yeah.
And
I feel like he just plays himself.
He does. He just plays himself.
I don't want to be a hater, but I don't.
I'll be a hater. And my partner Frankie doesn't like him. He's never liked him from the first moment he saw him. So
yeah,
he believes he should have stayed doing rom-coms back in the early days.
But I do feel like that with both Ryan and Blake's work, it's almost like they're not exploring the range of their true abilities to act, and maybe that's because it's not in their true capacity or in their nature, because we have some performers who are just absolutely incredible, like, and you can't even recognize them from one character to another.
A true chameleon.
Well, I feel like acting essentially is the exploration of human emotions. And if we see this with Ryan having this intensity of emotions, like in his own internal realm, especially like we talked about with Justin too. The moon rejoices in the third house. It's the house of the goddess. Why don't we see that in his work? Like I feel like he plays very surface level.
He does. Like fighting.
Yeah.
Punching. I'm trying to think like
I watched like one where he was in a scary movie. I cannot remember the title of that for the life of me.
You're gonna hear the sounds of my keyboard.
But it was awful. Like it was just like that level of intensity was not displayed, but I see it in his soul having these intense emotional needs. No, it was a scary movie.
Oh, scary movie.
Yeah, I think it was a scary movie of like something that was an older movie that they had redone. And we watched it last like Halloween season. So
Safe House?
I think that's
or Amityville Horror. He was also in that one.
That's the one I think I'm thinking about. That because I think that's a part of a
well, out of all the movies he's done, there's only those two, so I think he understands. I'm sorry, he's the same character in every movie.
Yeah, but isn't that interesting though, seeing his chart and being like, okay, where's the
scorpionic power?
Yes, like where's the depth here? Where's the emotional intensity?
And
Pluto's
comes up as,
also
like humor. He has like light, like sarcastic humor.
For him being a Virgo rising, he's ruled by the planet Mercury.
Yeah.
And Mercury for Ryan is in Libra, which is a sign that it's an air sign, cardinal air. It's a sign ruled by Venus. It does have that airy, light kind of feeling to it, where that's where the humor comes in, like this ability to speak and create peace and beauty with his voice. It's there is that level that he brings in, but I'm just like, where is the intensity? And Uranus is also thrown in the mix for Ryan here in the third house. So I feel like his emotions are very volatile, and I do feel like that has played a role in the drama that we are seeing, at least what we have access to. But behind the scenes, I'm like,
maybe he is
Blake, are you
intense.
okay? Like
blink if you need us to like get you out of there. Not that like she's coming out squeaky clean anyways.
Yeah, but
abuse is abuse.
Yeah, well, I do feel like that has been something.
And his Chiron opposes his moon.
Yeah, so he has Chiron in his Aries.
Wow.
8th house.
It opposes his sun too. Wow.
Yeah. And he also has the 29-degree Jupiter in his Taurus 9th house. And didn't Blake also have that 29th degree Jupiter in the 9th house?
Whoa.
But it's different since
different
Blake
sign,
is a Leo rising.
Just one sign different, yeah.
That's really fascinating.
They expand each other.
Or at least are supporting each other within this karmic growth in this lifetime of what it means to take up space in the realms of publishing, right? That's the 9th house. It relates to teaching, higher levels of consciousness, publishing, putting things out into the world, which is very much what it would mean to produce a movie and to put that out in the world.
He has like the Wrexham thing where he's like in charge of like a sports team, and they were doing like their own like, it was like a documentary or show or something about it. With who is the other actor? He's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Rob McElhenney. I'm fucking up his name. It's Irish.
I actually don't know what all of that is, but yes.
Tylynn knows pop culture. I know a lot of pop culture.
Yeah.
I have a Gemini Venus.
Josh also, I really receive a lot of my pop culture knowledge from Josh because he runs a pop culture page on the internet, and so he really does keep his finger on the pulse of what's happening. And I could like meet a celebrity face to face, and I have like worked personally on celebrities like in my profession. I don't even know because I'm like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like, because there's so much energy, and like we talked about in our astrology episode of 2025. We're really moving into the era where we all have unique talents, skill sets. We are all stars. And we all deserve to shine. So
You're such a mom.
Like,
We all have talents.
we all
we
do.
all deserve
Like,
to
why
shine.
should only a few amount of people be put on a pedestal when...
That's true. The people that are there, it's like, really? This is the best we have to offer the world?
Because I look at some of these people and it's like, it is like this energy of, wow, like, you've been given all these resources to get to where you're at in your profession, but is the true drive there from this place of a foundational aspect of pure talent? Because we have these people in the world that are just so talented, but they don't get the spotlight on them because they don't have people funding them, or they don't have those resources.
True.
Because I even look at myself and I'm like, I look at some of these singers and I'm like, I can sing better than that. Like, you know, but it's like, I don't like having those thoughts, but that's my human.
But what you're touching on is just like the modern celebrity.
Yeah.
It's not about having talent. It's that's not enough anymore. Like for companies to want to record labels or, you know, things to pick you up, it's like you have to have the look or the attitude or the moldability or some of a voice or the performance skills. Like it's more than that. Cause like my cousin is like that. She's very talented actress, but her aesthetic, her look is not in fashion in film right now, like for characters that they're booking. So she just doesn't get as many roles. And I think it's just like, it's understanding that this is also a pay for play industry, and it's not actually how you want it to be in your heart, you know, like in your Piscean heart, you're just like, why can't it be based off why can't it be based off of like our talent, like, and our gifts and our skills, like, and like showcasing the best that we have to the world? And it's like, yeah, well, not in this industry. It's not about that in the film and entertainment and music industries anymore. It's not. Like before, it used to be like that. But we even see that with like American Idol, how it gave like regular people a platform, and then like the hot ones would get deals.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
So
where you could be so talented, but if you don't have what you're saying, the look, the aesthetic, the story,
whatever it is,
then they're not going to give you that time of day or the attention. And I just feel like that's such an old paradigm. Like,
maybe that's like Pluto Aquarius.
Let's crumble that like to the ground.
Yeah, like I want regular people who are actually, like, it's like the Olympics. They all look different. They're the best of the best. Yeah. And that's why they're there. It's not about what they look like. It's about their talent. Yeah.
And it is really important to question, are you doing this because you actually love it? Because going back to Ryan Reynolds, like, I watched some of his stuff and I'm like, is his heart really in this? Like,
or is he just getting money?
Exactly. Yeah. Like it does feel like there's some level of disconnect that is present there. Especially seeing this, and it's like, whoa, like he actually has all of this intensity and in his third house of communication, power, but he's not communicating in that way. Definitely not.
Yeah. I think he does come off as intense. I feel like he uses the Scorpio, but very surface level maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I think the Libra piece of him, like,
it shines through more because that's his ruling planet. Yeah. And if you're listening to this, your ruling planet makes the most impact in your natal chart. It's why...
Mine's in my first house.
Yeah, it's why you're so comfortable, like, taking up space and being seen and sharing stories. I am not comfortable.
Actually, it's false. Okay,
you give off a really good show then, because...
It's not a show. It's like... It's my first house Jupiter competes with my 8th house Sun all the time. So it's like, in my mind, I'm actually like, you could take up more space. Like, you know that you're not even pushing yourself and you're doing only a part of what you could do. And like, for me, being with the Jupiter, it's like, people are like, wow, you're taking up a lot of space and you're doing the thing, which I do. It's not fake. Like, I do it and I just feel like, whatever, I got to live my life. That's my Aries moon. It's like, just get out of the way. I have to do it. Who else is going to do it? So I have like the audacity, but then I feel like there's so much more of me that like wants to be like out and loud and take up even more space. And then my 8th house Sun is like, hide yourself, don't be perceived, like, don't do, you know. So I feel like I struggle with that. It's like, to normal people, I feel big, but it's like, in my head, I'm like, you know, you could be bigger than this. This isn't your 100%.
Yeah, but that's still, it's making the most impact in your chart of like, that is the direction for your soul to go in. is in that spaciousness.
Next episode, I'm just going to be in front of Tylynn, like,
well, my ruling planet Jupiter's in the 8th house, so I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like,
you're like, I'll shine through in some way.
Yeah.
You'll feel me. You don't have to see me, but you'll know that I'm there.
In the depths of your subconscious, you will.
Yeah, it's like, you'll see me in your dreams.
Yeah, no, actually, that's so true. We're going to do another episode about dreams, but I do have so many people that will be like, you were in my dream last night, or like...
Very Jupiterian.
I'm like, yeah, I know, because I can't, like, a lot of times in my sleep, it's like, I actually can't feel like I'm really resting, because my soul is, like, assisting, supporting, all over the place, and it's like,
you should charge them.
I know, I'm like, some nights Spirit, like,
you?
let me actually rest.
Okay, so going back to the topic. Yeah, so their charts are very similar. The reason why we're like, this is a bombshell is because there was rumors that perhaps there was a romantic relationship that was created with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. We're not, like, confirming the rumors per se, but it's like this man is very similar vibes to your husband that you've been married to. Yeah. Still different, right? They have different sun signs. Yeah. But same houses, still Scorpio stellium. Like, it definitely speaks to maybe there was an attraction there, or a familiarity or comfortability, right? Like, maybe he reminds her of Ryan Reynolds in some kind of way, or maybe his intense energy, she's like very comfortable and used to it because Ryan Reynolds has that and she's around him all the time, you know? Like, it feels, and I do get that now that I'm psychically tapping in. I get that thing that you were saying about the Libra, like, making it seem nice, but under the surface, you're like, what's going on over there? So
yeah, I'm there's way more complexities. And I will note as well, with his ruling planet, he has Hera, Juno, the queen of the heavens, conjunct his ruling planet. And in her mythology, she is the wife of Zeus, Jupiter, and she experiences multiple times Jupiter just going off, having his rendezvous, essentially cheating on her, and she stays committed to him, like, throughout all of that. So she does represent power dynamics in relationships, and what we're willing to give, what we're willing to sacrifice, how we're willing to commit, what we're looking for in a partner. And she is considered to be domicile in both the signs of Scorpio and Libra. So that is a very intense placement, the fact that she is domicile at home in the sign of Libra, because she does represent relationship dynamics, and that's what the sign of Libra is all about. So it does make me feel like maybe a part of his journey with having his ruling planet conjunct Hera is the experience of navigating power dynamics and especially communication within relationship dynamics, because he might think that something is cheating when it's actually not. Because if we look at the mythology, Hera...
And Scorpios are also very, like, you look at someone and it's cheating and you're like, girl.
Well, Hera is a very jealous energy in her mythology, right? Like, I get this because, as you know, an Athena archetype, like, I was with Hera for some of these strategizing the like, you know, takedown of some of these people, right? Because I'm like, yeah, Hera, I got you. Like, that was absolutely wrong what my dad did. Like, no, absolutely not. Jupiter. Like, that makes sense. So I'm just wondering if that's been a part of his journey throughout his life, like the experience of, like, the jealousy or distrust, because of that. And, like, this placement is so prominent, and Blake having all those Virgo placements feels like someone who could be very, like, I understand these rules, like, I'm willing to, you know, like, Virgo, play by the rules. Very practical, very grounded. Interesting, very interesting. But also with the second house, you know, energy too, that stellium there, and that's also where her ruling planet is. It can be a very possessive energy, because the second house rules over material resources and what is mine. That. Scorpio loves the possession. They want
to know that you're loyal to the core.
Yes, that is definitely a beautiful gift of Scorpionic energy. It does have that loyalty, like to the end, and also Taurus, because they're on that same axis, Taurus and Scorpio.
I feel like Taurus though is like just loyal.
Yeah.
Like they just do it. Like it's like golden retriever energy.
Yeah.
But then like Scorpio is like more like, I need you to tell, like I need to either know or you either need to show me and tell me. And I'm like, are you being unloyal all the time? Like a lot of people get in that fear of like, is there unloyalty?
Yeah.
And because they're like sensing way more. And Taurus is just like the earthly, like I'm just going to show up how I am. I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to be committed. I want that from someone else too.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like I feel like with Taurus, it's like loyalty is a big deal, but it's not the topic of conversation all the time.
Yeah. Because it's just a part of their essence.
Yes. But Scorpio, it's like a topic of conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
because there's emotion behind it. It's a water sign.
Exactly.
And if you do anything that makes a Scorpio not trust you, then they're going to put up their mysterious hood and just like not let you in. Like that's when the Scorpionic shell comes up. And I feel like we see that with Ryan. Like we don't know who he really is. Like, and that's why I'm true. Like he's made this persona of himself that he plays the same thing over and over again in all of these movies. But I do feel like there's a lot more complexity to him behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was really notable to point out that Hera conjunct his ruling planet.
Yeah. And then you were talking about the nodal axis changing. So this is like breaking news.
That was also something I was reflecting on because we were just seeing it as breaking news of Blake referring to Taylor as one of her dragons and like she was Khaleesi. And in that episode, literally we're both like jaw dropped, like what? Like what? Blake actually said that. But now I've been sitting with her chart, like it makes sense that she has this strong feeling of possessive energy towards the people in her life. Second house stelliums can bring that up of like, this is mine. Again, it's rules over resources. Something that I was meditating on with the nodal axis shift, we now have the North Node moving into Pisces, South Node moving into Virgo. South Node is in Virgo. So I was feeling this energy of Blake is learning this lesson of what it means to shed, to release, to let go of what she feels are her belongings or her possessions.
Because in a weird time where she's like, because of what's going on, she's wanting to hold on to it.
Yes, because she's learning how to then call in more of that, the shared resource, the shared energy, the shared collaborations. That's what the 8th house is.
And maybe that's what this whole thing is teaching her, that it's not just what you want and only what, you know, like we have to, with Justin Baldoni, like give and take, you know?
Whereas with both Justin and Ryan, that nodal axis shift is occurring for them in the 1st and 7th house, which is huge because they both have the North Node now in their 7th house.
So relationships,
which is the house of relationship dynamics,
will be changing.
And a lot of shifts in like shedding, releasing old paradigms of self.
When did it
January
shift?
11th.
Okay. Because I think that was around when we were recording the podcast episode. I'm lying. What am I? Because I'm trying to look at the timeline. We've recorded
a lot of episodes, Sorciers. We have a lot of good stuff coming out for you. Just trust me.
The trauma brain is just...
We've got a lot of good stuff coming.
3 hours ago, Blake Lively's PR rep moves to dismiss Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. Damn,
I feel like she's getting to the point where she knows...
Blake Lively amended complaints against...
Yeah, she won't be able to win. So that's what I was sharing, like this shedding of belief systems, values.
2 hours ago, Blake Lively rep claims Justin Baldoni litigation is smoke and mirrors, seeks dismissal. Yeah, it's like she's like walking back some things and then like wanting to drop it.
I saw something about how like Justin's lawyer was like, I don't know what husband would ever like joke about allegations of assault towards their wife. So it's almost like that is saying
that funny
a lot.
For you?
Yes,
like, do you do that normally?
And is that the lawyer saying like this isn't real. Like, this is all like this made up allegation.
Oh, she amended
Yeah.
her complaint saying she wasn't the only woman on set, that there was other women complaining about it. That was from 7
Okay.
hours ago.
So guess we'll have to see what comes up with these other women.
Yeah, she said 2
If
other women one day ago on New York Times were added to the lawsuit. She's doubling
okay.
down on this.
Well, she does have all this Virgo energy, which is like it's tactical, it's
It's like
practical,
receipts.
yes, that's what Virgo energy is all about.
Like
It's
Monica
that
from Real
mutable
Housewives.
earth, crystal from the earth. But I mean, going back to Justin's chart being
Wow.
ruled by that Scorpio,
Yeah.
or having that Scorpio stellium and being ruled by Mercury Capricorn, I do feel like I said in that last episode, it does feel like he has the capacity to be speaking more of that truth, because there is that truth energy encoded within the Scorpio stellium.
Yeah.
Wait, what's coming up? Your eyes are like...
Blake Lively's publicist asked to be cut from the lawsuit because they were suing her and the publicist. The publicist, like, this is from 4 hours ago, asked to be removed from the $400 million lawsuit against her and Blake Lively.
Okay, so yeah, it's like what's
they're like, I'm out. I'm not part of this anymore. This is sexual harassment complaints. Like, I wasn't there. I'm a PR person.
Yeah.
You know? And then, like, she's claiming, like, his lawsuit is BS. So she's really doubling down. She's like, there's more people who believe this, and you need to drop your suit.
Yeah, but also, is she paying those people to say, you know, like, with the money?
She found
that
her
second
dragons
house,
because Taylor Swift was not one of them.
Because that second house is all about money. And I also did see on TikTok that there was someone sharing information about this case, and Ryan and Blake reached out to this creator and we're pretty much trying to pay this creator off for not speaking about
they're
this.
Unnamed, these women.
Yes, so that is definitely could be an attributing factor to this. And again, like I said in the last episode, we are just speculating from, you know, sourciers from a place of love. We obviously are tapping into our intuition with some of these things, but at the end of the day, like, we weren't there. Like, we don't know all of the history of this, and
we could, but
as as like sourciers, you know, we're just here to talk about this. I mean, that was something that we had set for our intention, is to talk about things that are pop culture and things that are relevant. And
it's like a fun way to do a live action teachable moment, because we're talking about how people's charts work together
and the
astrology of
like,
and all that. So it's like, you can do that for your life. You can see why your ex texted you.
But what I think is really interesting is Justin is now feeling the transit of Pluto conjunct his natal sun. So I do feel like he sort of has this Plutonian power of, like, the Pluto is the death and the rebirth, the destruction and creation, and like deep desired energy. So I do feel like when I think about Justin going through this, it does feel like there is a phoenix rising from the ashes kind of a feeling, especially around his identity and his purpose and his work, right? Like, Pluto's going to be transiting through his house of work and how he's of service and health for the next 20 years. And he did a dark
topic movie, so maybe he
like,
wanted to do more of them.
Yeah, keep onto that. And these are topics that it's really important for these topics to be brought up into the collective. And even if I, as someone who experienced domestic violence, didn't feel like that portrayed that experience very well at all, I do feel like it is
you need some kind of representation to get there to make it more realistic and better. Yeah, it needs to be talked about. That's the whole thing with the media industry, that we saw that with Black Panther. Everyone's like, like, all the executives are like bullshitting us, like, no one will pay for a Black-led superhero movie. Like, who will want that?
And it's the best Marvel movie. Like, what? Like,
that's the whole point, is like their racism. They're just like trying to lie behind numbers. But it's like, we put out this movie and like there were so many posts of people saying, like, even if the movie is shitty, you understand your assignment, you go and you buy your ticket and you support it, because if we don't support this first Black superhero movie, there won't be another. And we saw that there was 2 Black Panthers, and they had like the Blue Beetle, which was a Latino lead. So like we're getting, I mean,
That's
I'm sure
DC,
there's more,
but yeah.
But you know, like it's creating the shift in the industry to have more of these characters be in the forefront. So yeah. I know that there's more of them. I'm just not super into Marvel. That's why I used a DC one afterwards. I feel like it's commercialized too much. My 8th house son doesn't like overhyped things. So we'll see what how this case what are your predictions? What do you think it will pan out as?
I feel like Blake is experiencing a lot of shedding, releasing, letting go, especially of what she thought was hers, like what she thought she had ownership of. There's something that she is releasing in this process, and that could be values, belief systems as well. But I do feel like there's definitely a perception shift in a narrative that obviously from both sides of this case they are attempting to portray as the truth. But again, when I look at both of their charts, Blake and Justin side by side, and if you were to ask me who would I believe more if they were coming to me with a story, I would say Justin. Yes. But I also don't want the hate of like, oh, well, you're not a girl's girl for saying that. I'm saying this as an astrologer.
Yeah, not in gender, nothing with gender, just like looking at the astrology. They could be formless humans.
But I do, like I said in the last episode, I do feel like Blake is really here to build something for the collective, like with all of that energy in her second house, which is the house of building. And especially around like how she's of service with healthcare. There's something that she is contracted in this lifetime to build, to bring up to the surface. So if this case allows for her to do that in some capacity, or to see what that greater mission is for her in terms of building, bringing something to life, then that's beautiful, because that's the world I want to live in, where everyone is in their purpose and connected to their power. And I feel like with this case in general, they're both just putting all of their energy into this, saying, my side's right, my side's right, my side's right. And is that the most aligned way to utilize your energy? Especially looking at this, and I'm like, Justin's here to like create a bunch of shit in this lifetime, like like be this creative force. And
this is his time with the Pluto Aquarius.
Yes, yeah, and be devoted to his career.
The worst way.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone's gonna know who he is now.
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean by Pluto transiting over his sun. Like
they're illuminating him.
Yeah.
I think it's. I was at first thinking, if we're looking at it, like, why? Let's say Blake and Justin have like accusations against each other. Why is Blake's husband getting involved? We know he's famous, right? Justin's wife is not like a celebrity in the public eye.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, why would your husband jump in and also be a part of this unless you were like defending or deflecting
and making fun of it in his movie Deadpool? Like, there's references to this case in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was thinking from Justin's side, it's like his wife is not really saying anything. It's just him doing it, which it could be because she's not like famous and all that kind of stuff. But maybe she has nothing to defend, nothing to say, you know, like there's no reason to do this,
to get involved and add more fire to this.
Yeah. But then I was like, if you keep looking at it, it can flip. The more you look at it, the more it can change, where it's like, maybe she's quiet because that's his nature and she's keeping her place. And maybe it's the opposite, that Ryan is supporting Blake and being vocal with her.
I don't think so. I do feel like there is that level of, I don't know, possessive energy.
They both have some weird possessive energy. I feel like there's a lot of, when I tap into Blake Lively's energy, There's a lot of repressed, like suppressed stuff.
I think that's Lilith at 0 degrees in her first house.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah, it just feels like there's a lot that she is maybe like getting out or deflecting in some way. Like the issue is not with Justin, but it's coming out through this, if that makes sense.
Well, that's why what I mean by these internalized belief systems and paradigms and ways that she's perceiving the world. Like some of these things are crumbling.
I wonder if they're going to get
going
divorced.
To the ground.
I've been really accurate at predicting people's divorces in my clients' lives. Even if it took like a year for it to happen.
Interesting. I'm not sure. I do feel like Blake is going to have definitely shifts within relationship dynamics with Pluto transiting through her 7th house now.
For the next 20 years.
So that's also peace.
Yeah, that's true. And that means that he sits in that 7th house too. So there's some karmic thing between her and Justin Baldoni that is happening.
With his son in her 7th house. Yeah. For
sure. Okay, well, we're going to move topics.
There's a lot of stuff that we can get into with this. Sourceers, we want to know what you think about this. Let us know in the comments. If you have any questions that you want us to like go deeper into this, because this case is still ongoing.
Yeah.
There has not been a resolution
have more
to
updates,
this.
You know, like this was already a first update like a week later.
Yeah. And honestly, we just want to see everyone living in their most aligned truth. And if
so nice.
Well, if there has been an abuse of power,
true,
like that, also we have to hold people accountable for abusive behaviors. However,
it's not something funny.
Yeah.
It's not some accusation. It's like if it really happened, it needs to be taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you wanted to talk about dreams.
Oh my gosh. I had the most intense dream the start of Pisces season. I sort of alluded to this past life when we did another episode. So maybe, Sourceers, you will hear this episode before we do that past life one. So I'll just share. I had a lifetime in New York in the 1920s during the Prohibition era where I was a singer, and I, throughout my life, have had dreams of, I was very tall in that lifetime. My mother was Native American and my father was white. And I was very tall, very strong. I had this dark hair, short bob. And this dream I would have, it was a recurring dream of being put in prison and like being behind the bars and seeing the bars in my dream. Okay, this dream that I had the other night, though, you were in it. You were in this lifetime with me.
Okay, also, Tylynn waited to share this, so I don't know either. This is live reactions for you. Okay. We are really going the distance for you. We want you to feel like you're sitting here getting the tea with your growl.
This dream, I was like feeling it the whole day. Like it's, you know, one of those dreams you have where,
like when your partner cheats on you in your dream and you're just like, oh, it like ruins your whole day. And you're like,
I don't have dreams like that. A lot of my dreams are like, they're past life memories. A lot of my dreams are, and that's my psychic gift, right? Is like to go into the past life. So
you're like doing it
happens in my dreams. Yeah. It very often. I either have those types of dreams, or obviously the dreams we all have where you are working through some kind of fear or karmic thing, right? And you're meant to process that in dream time so you can face it when you experience it in your waking life. But yeah, the past lives come up a lot. So yeah, we were in the 1920s. We were friends. Like I saw us in New York, like on the street, and in the dream time you were like, we've got to get going, like we have to go, like we have this.
So do you think that this is a past life, like it's tied to that 1920s past life? So you're saying I knew you in the 1920s,
yes,
and I lived in New York. Okay, this is okay, go on.
Okay, so you were in the dream, you were like, we gotta get going. And I just felt like very like sluggish, almost like I didn't really like want to go where we were going, but you were like kind of tugging at me like, we've got to get going. And we worked at a brothel, and there was this man there.
Awesome.
Who He was like our pimp guy, but he's very like, he had this harsh demeanor, but he had a soft spot for both of us. And so actually in that life, we didn't actually do sex work. We were like the aftercare for these men. And I was seeing us, like, I in that lifetime would sing, and like I was like using my voice for this lullaby sort of energy, and we would, both of us would use our hands and press along their spine and sort of do this like soothing, like that's what we were called in to do, was this like aftercare soothing of the men. And I was seeing us both doing it, and it was like we were essentially doing Reiki or energy healing. But a lot of that was from my lineage from my mother's side. Like I had learned Native American practices, and I was taking that with me into this work. But I would sing, and it would just be this container that we would create for them. And you in this lifetime, you were like, you introduced me to like the underground prohibition scene, which is where eventually I met Josh in that lifetime, because he was like a part of the mob and that life. But you were very adamant about me using my voice and singing. Like you were the reason why I became a singer in that lifetime. I had
knowing the other past life where you felt silence with me. I am so proud of my soul for righting a wrong.
Yeah, and, like, it felt like that,
you.
Like a karmic thing. And it's also this lifetime of you being like, let's do the podcast, get your voice out there.
I'm creating the space for you again. I'm getting chills.
It was so intense. And I feel like this soul who was our manager, pimp guy, I don't know. I feel like there's something that needs to happen with this soul fragment around.
Do you feel like you know him in this lifetime?
I don't feel like we know him. And I feel like there's something with this person that's going to support us in our growth eventually. Like we maybe like a manager or something. I don't know, but
fun. Like, I feel like I trust you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what did I look like?
So you were blonde. And
love that for me. My natural hair is dirty blonde.
Yeah, you looked very similar to how you look now. Like you were blonde, you had blue eyes. You were taller though. I
knew I was tall. At least in one of these, I'm 5'1", y'all.
Because we were both tall. Like I was very tall as a woman. Like when I go into this lifetime and just like see myself behind the bars, and like the feeling of I'm literally like over 6 feet tall, and I'm like I can't even like. Feeling myself in that body, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even feel what that feels like now. Like that, just the energy of being so tall. It feels so like weird, like different from how I am in this body.
I actually,
you were like tall and blonde, and you were beautiful. And I actually think like you started with the sex work in the brothel, I think, but then you kind of you sort of like, I don't want to say the word graduated, but you like got the sort of vibe of yes. And I think that's why when that guy met me, he saw my soul and was like, you're too sweet to do this work kind of thing. So you're going to do that. You're going to do the aftercare. And like we sort of had our little like tandem signature thing that we would do in the 1920s New York brothel.
Okay, so this is okay because I haven't explored that many of my past lives, believe it or not. But I was told by the psychic who told me I could be a psychic that in my past life I got in trouble for my psychic gifts. Yeah. So I'm like, that seems like close enough, you know, to like this timing in between lifetimes. I don't know, like everyone's different. Like you could have like two, like you had two lifetimes up until. Like, you had the 1920s and then the 1960s one. Yeah. So, like, did you die early?
Too, when I was very young. Yeah, I died in jail. It was like a virus or some kind of infection that I never got healed. And again, I was very young. Like, I don't even think I made it to 30 years old.
Wow. Like, and then the other thing is my family, like, immigrated to New York. So I had like family from this body in this life during that time.
Yeah, you were like very well, like you were the one that sort of got me into the scene, because I felt myself like I obviously, my mother being Native American, I felt like I always had a dream of, and my dad left, so I never really had, like, I wanted to be in the, like, the white world, right? I wanted to experience that, like, big city dream, and you were the one that was like, all right, let me bring you in, and let me, like, help you with all these
I love that my soul is so similar.
It was so similar. Vivid.
Let's just do it. Let's get you in there. Wait, so I worked, did I work in, like, I'm assuming you sang in the prohibition clubs?
Yes.
Okay.
And you helped me get to that point, because you were like, you sing so beautifully when we do these little sessions. Because it was almost like I'd, like, rock them into this lullaby state. And you were like, why aren't you singing? Like, you had introduced me to the clubs and to this underground sort of scene, and you're like, why don't you sing? And I think I just eventually was like, oh, I'll get up there and sing, and someone was playing the piano, and I just sang, and
that's amazing.
And they loved me, and then I was just continuing to sing until eventually
I want to, like, research. I feel like
I got put in jail.
I guess there wouldn't be
and
any
Josh
photos
never
of it.
came to get me.
You're like, some wrongs need to be righted still. Some of these
I always
sins.
tell him that. I'm like, you let me just
but
rot.
You sent him away.
Okay, yeah, that's also Sorciers. You will hear that episode.
Yes,
probably
the past
after
life.
this one.
Yeah, the past
so we'll
life.
tease you a little bit with that. Yeah.
Tylynn's like, you didn't come for me when I was in jail. Like, you literally sent him away on a crusade to die, like, in another lifetime.
This is such a Saturn 12th house, like, thing as a karmic responsibility to go to the depths of your subconscious and, like, clear away these fears and, like, clear the karma, right? Yeah. And I don't know what happened to you. Like, it was very fast. Damn. Like, that was all I saw from the dream. So I don't know what happened after I got arrested. I don't think you did. I think you escaped, but
yeah, because like my grandpa was born like 1930s. Yeah, so it's like my great grandparents were like living there.
Yeah.
New York is not that big. It is so 5 miles long. Like,
no, it's
Manhattan is 5 miles long.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And that's cool that you lived in New York in this lifetime.
And I did. New York is very, like, traumatic for me, because I also had another lifetime where I lived in, like, more northern New York.
Like upstate?
Yes, and that was my Civil War lifetime, which I haven't talked about on the podcast yet. Very traumatic.
I want to research more of my own.
Yeah. Well, it's not about necessarily, like,
I know, research.
It's like
just do it.
Letting it come to you psychically through dream time, through opening your Akashic records, but also you're only going to be able to have access to what your consciousness is able to withstand. And that's exactly why when you'll hear the lifetime that I had as a Spanish king, I would not have been able to take that into my consciousness if I would have learned about that like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. I would not have been able to, like...
I just feel like it's like I'm doing the thing, so I don't need to know it.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, a lot of the intuitive stuff, and you might find this, listeners, some people, they get all these cool, like, treasures and stories and things, and that's what helps them catalyze and move through.
Yeah.
But, like, some people, you just, like, intuitively or subconsciously, you are facing the work that's at hand that might be attached to that past life, but you don't know. And so then you live through that lesson or that piece without needing to, like, heal in the past life.
Yeah.
I feel like there's, like, very different ways to approach it. And then, yes, like, I feel like some people, when I do past life messages circle, they receive it, but maybe they might not put it together or integrate it until, like, you know, some time. They need to sit with it. Yeah. So that makes sense.
There's so much with our past lives, so it is like opening a can of worms because there's
I'm
lot
scared
of
because
karmic...
that one that came through of me as the warrior, that was just like suffering on suffering on suffering, which it's in the next one, the next episode for y'all. But like that, it's like if that was the first fucking one that came through, I'm just like, oh my god.
We're just teasing y'all with like all of our past
recording
life,
out of order. We're gonna release stuff because it was like breaking news.
Yeah,
so we're gonna release that one first, and that's the whole thing. Yeah. So you're gonna have to wait like another episode. Yeah.
But if you know about your past lives, if you're curious about your past lives, or if you've always felt a draw to a certain era or a certain time period, a
food,
place,
like a culture, a job.
Yes. There's a tie. There is a tie with
I know.
Your soul.
So that's how I know. Like, well, I've always been drawn to not Paris, but France. And then I learned that my great grandfather was like a baker in France. So I don't know if it's because of that or because I had a past life. It could be both, right? So
definitely. I have chills. I feel like you had a past life.
Yeah.
I feel like you were part of the revolution.
I just got chills too.
Yeah.
I really want to cut a world leader's head off right now. So bad. Ooh, that would be like 2025 bingo card.
I went to the Getty Center one time with a friend of mine, and we were going through the French period where they were so like extravagant with all their shit.
What? Frankie, his favorite musical is Les Mis. I wonder if we knew each other in France.
I have chills. Yeah, but I always feel like walking through that, I'm like, honestly, fuck this. Like, fuck the like extravagance, the show of wealth, like. My friend's like, why are you so angry right now? And I'm like, because they just sit in their fucking castle and hoard all of this wealth. And so, who knows?
Sounds
maybe
like
I was with you and I just haven't.
Wow.
No,
because I literally, I have, like, people have been asking me, like, as a psychic, what do you think is going on in the U.S.? And I'm like, we're going to have to fight. We need to go out there and fight. And every single time I always use France as an example. I'm like, there are people, like, understand, you do one minor inconvenience to them out in the streets, rioting. Like, the French people have my heart. They don't put up with anything. They're rude to you, but they also don't put up with their government. It's so good.
That is where we're at right now. Americans. Like, that is where we're at.
That's the assignment.
Saying,
no peaceful protest.
You're not
being peaceful to me.
Down for this hatred.
That's not peaceful. To fuck over all these people, not peaceful at all. Why do I have to be peaceful back to you? That's the part that I feel like people aren't understanding. Is like, people want to take the higher road and be like enlightened, and like a lot of Democratic parties like that. But it's like, at what point? Like, how much can you be passive while everyone is being active towards you? What, like turning the other cheek? What happened? Jesus died, bro. He turned the other cheek. He died. Do you want to die, or do you want to like get your justice? Like, I feel like a lot of people, it's like that that story that people use where it's like, when you're you're like in your boat or you want to get across the river and like you're praying for God to like send you a message to get you across the river, and then like someone comes with a boat and they're like, hey, do you want to ride across the river? And it's like, no, I'm waiting for God to send me a sign to help me out to get me to where I need to go. And it's like, God is like, just sent you the boat, bro. But you turned it down because it was a person that was giving you the boat. It's like, I'm watching whatever the story is. But it's like someone who's waiting for God to give them these messages, and all these human pieces keep coming in, like allowing them to do the thing that they're asking for, but they keep turning it down because they think it needs to be something special from God. It's like,
we have to take aspects of the divine. We are all aspects of God, source consciousness. And that's why it's so heartbreaking to see. Like, we did an episode where we talked about how Trump right now is acting from a deeply wounded inner child place. And that's a thing that is really heartbreaking and devastating, because we are all aspects of source consciousness. And when we see people suffering, the worst thing is to be like casting even more hatred, right? Like, what humans can benefit from instead is focusing on how can we then heal. And that a lot of times reflects back to the individual, like self-healing, because
Self-healing is collective healing.
Yes, because I can't do the healing for Trump, right? Like, but but is it helpful for me to like send all of this like hatred energy back? Like, no. But what you're saying is also valid of we are in a physical realm, and for things to shift, that does require physical action. And that also goes into the narrative of we're not able to shift anyone else's worldview or perception.
Unless we kill them.
They will not shift, right? If they're so stubborn and stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
Which, again, is the heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, belief is the hardest thing to change. Yeah. Like, I've had that with many family members throughout these past years. Like, why do you not see this? Why do you not? This is simple. It's hard because people attach their sense of self to their beliefs. I believe this, so this means this about me.
That's right? What I'm saying with Blake Lively. Like, some stuff is happening with her belief systems where she's shedding, letting go.
Yeah, she's going to have to. She's going to be forced to because of the way she's doubling down on all of this stuff. Like, something's going to have to give, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I get what you're saying, like, from a healing standpoint, but I'm not averse to hexing people, so...
I'm definitely not down for that.
I could send hatred energy to someone.
I am not down for that. Let that be on the record. I've played too much in the realms in prior lifetimes.
I've been hired to hex someone before.
Did you do it?
Hell yeah. They were a rapist.
No.
I would 100%. He took advantage of women and he drugged them. Of course I'm going to hex that man. I said say less.
Oh my gosh. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and he was a spiritual leader. He hosted retreats here in Malibu.
Oh my gosh. So that's the thing with communities and spirituality. When you're vulnerable, it is really sad to see, like, people...
They're looking for comfort, they're looking for leadership, and they get taken advantage of.
Taking advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't me that had that happen. It was someone I knew who almost had it happen to her, and then spoke to other women who realized that they had it happen to them. And I was just the only witch that she knew. So she reached out to me. And that's when I worked with the demon.
Okay. Do we want to go into that right now?
Sure, might as well.
I'm like,
this is breaking news.
Episode's all over the place.
No, it's just like updates, different topics, fun stuff.
Because this energy is very real, source seers. Like, the darkness.
I love that energy. That's where I come from.
Oh. We all do. We all come from this void space, right? And also, like, darkness is only light that is. Darkness is light that is concealed. Because at the end of the day, it's all just light.
Yeah, it's where the light, shadow, and
spirituality. Like, they don't want to tell you that part. Like,
no, love and light, New Age spirituality is based on colonialism, which we'll get into, but
we have to do a whole episode on that.
And I've done on my other podcast too. Like, it is, and I've interviewed like Indigenous people and people of color around this topic. Yeah. It is something that needs to be spoken about way more, because when you trace back the roots and the ideologies, it's the same exact thing as colonization. It's the same exact thing as like how the church creates fear so that you don't sin. It's the same exact thing. It's just branded differently to you. And no shade to like New Age like identifiers, because a lot of these people, they don't know, you know, like they're just like, oh, this is what I learned, this is what I grew up in, this makes sense, this works for me, I resonate with this. And they don't realize that it has a lot of like colonization roots. So that's like a whole thing. But okay, working with a demon. Okay, so I was hired by this person to do a hex on this really bad man. We already established that. So I was in my apartment and I started like doing the like hex ritual. So I had in my apartment, it was a studio. So there was a hallway. I have, you know, like those, what is like European style bathrooms where it's like the toilet and the shower and then there's a door. And then the hallway had like the counter and the shower, and it had a like big mirror the whole length, and then I had sliding glass like closet mirrors, so it's like mirrors on both sides, which I think contributed somewhat to this, because mirrors can be portals
definitely
for spiritual stuff. And then I had two mirrors like looking at each other all the time. So I was just outside of that hallway and in my like main studio room space, and I had like a cookie sheet that I was safely practicing fire magic. And I set up the whole ritual. I was in the middle of the ritual, and out of the corner of my eye I saw like a shadow figure like just come, and I was like, fuck, because I don't normally, I see some like people or some energies as shadow figures. I actually removed a shadow person from someone's home. So I had already kind of like, and they weren't evil. It was just, people get too scared by the dark parts. When you take time to talk to them, it's not that scary. It was like a mother that was like really upset. And I helped her cross over. So she left them alone. But so I don't get that very often, and they don't come that close to me. Like if I see like shadow figures or things, it's usually like 10 feet away. Like this was like standing right next to me. And then I was like, I felt the presence there. And the reason why I knew it was a demon is because part of the hex that I was doing was, my intention was to open the underworld and root, like seed the hex in the underworld. Because you're like, damn, bitch, I would never do that. Because I work with each their own. Yeah, right, I work with underworld deities. I'm not. Like, I do too. I'm not scared of underworld deities. To me, the underworld feels just like this warm, moist cave. And if you're looking at it like in the Greek gods and Roman gods and all that, it's a understanding of our subconscious, of the layers of our dark parts, right? The parts we don't want to see.
You know what's so wild about that? They described it as this forest of pine trees. And in our first episode, it was our first or second, you said that was your favorite herb to work with, is pine.
Pine is, yes. And cypress. Yeah. Well, I know cypress is considered the gateway to the underworld. Is cypress trees, yes. Yep. But yeah, I love working with pine. There's a group of pine trees. They're in the shape of a triangle, which is like shenanigans right out here. It's the strongest structure in spirituality and in the world, or shape. And yeah, they showed me some stuff too when I had someone coming for me. That's another story. So I was like, I want to call upon the underworld deities and ask them to take this over and continue this work, because I had felt at the time that this would have to be a consistent spell working, because this person was spiritual and had a lot of spiritual people around them that they made complicit in this. Yeah. And there would be a lot of protections or a lot of pieces that they put up. And I told this person to continue doing the work. I don't know if they did do the work. And anyways, I saw this demon like standing next to me, and it was scary to see the like full shadow figure, because I didn't normally see it like full shadow figure with my eyes open. But I had trust. I was already, professional psychic and stuff, so I trusted my intuition, and I was like, this doesn't feel dangerous. Like this doesn't feel bad, because I've worked with spirits that try and pretend that they're good, and you can still feel it.
Oh yeah, that's almost worse. The trickster energy.
The trickster. Yeah. And so I started speaking to this demon, and I was like, why are you here? And they're like, we're helping you with that, with the hex. We want to help you. Like, this person deserves this. Yeah. And I was like, say less. So they brought me to...
It's a karmic balance, though. So maybe there was a karmic contract then for your soul to be the bringer of that karmic rebalancing.
I hope. I haven't looked him up in a minute, but... I don't know. Maybe I'll look him up after this. And because
we just expose him on the podcast, like
I know. And at the time, like the person didn't want me to speak out about it, because I was like, oh, I'm in California, I'll do this. And they were like, no, he's powerful. Like he has a really big podcast. It was like a top spiritual podcast. Like a young child, like just shenanigans to me. But then we looked up his legal record, and he had a lot of sus things in his legal records. We were really going like full Scorpio into this. And so we were saying that either he would get what comes to him, or that his legal stuff would catch up and he would go to jail. That was sort of like what the hex was more, because that was we felt that was more attainable, right? Yes. So this demon, it felt like a elevator portal that opened, and they said to take the spell and bring it with me in the elevator, and I went into the underworld, and then I came out, and then I did the rest, and that was pretty much it. Like, the demon wasn't like doing the most. Like, they were just like, here, come here, we're in support of you, do your thing, you know. And so I put it in there, and I left the spell and the intention in the underworld.
I'm getting a really strong feeling that was Archangel Uriel.
It could have been.
Archangel Uriel, for those of you listening, is known to protect the gates of hell. Is known as the angel that relates to Malkuth, or the earth, and is known to guard the gates of the underworlds.
That could totally be it, because it's like I just saw a black outline, you know, like there was no, it was like a shape of a body, like a human body,
because that's the way our consciousness can perceive it.
But there was no like features, there was no like eyes or mouth or face or nipples or anything. Like, it was just like just a silhouette, you know. So and I've worked with like Lucifer, I've worked with like Anubis, I've worked with Hecate, like a bunch of different underworld deities. So that's not a space that's like scary to me. So I was like, let's go, you know, type of thing. But I felt I was in this like cave, like this brown stalactite kind of cave, and that's where I put this stuff.
Yeah. I have a weird feeling that it's Archangel Uriel.
Let me look him up.
Necessarily, that doesn't feel like a demon to me, like as you're describing the story more.
I just felt like it was, because it felt like a messenger and not like a deity. So I was like, it must be like a demon, because like it's not like actually Lucifer who came, you know, to greet me and to do the thing. Here, if you want to see his name.
Oh,
that's him.
Gosh. Wow, and there's still nothing out about the actual truth.
Because his space in Malibu is a retreat space. So people host like spiritual events and retreats there. I even had someone in one of my newer jobs, like, didn't know anything. She like vended there, and I was like, don't go back. Wow. And that's their podcast. He's not really like, it's many other like types of people and stuff that host. He's not the only one, but he's the original person that was on there. And so the thing is, like, he almost got picked up for a late night talk show on like Netflix or Gaia TV for like a spiritual thing, and then like I think COVID happened, and so like that didn't happen, thank God. But he has other healers and people live with him in the space in Malibu. And so like they are complicit, like they won't speak out because he affords them.
Well, when you're in that cult like setting, that becomes normalized. And like sadly, my friend who hired me, she spoke to some of the other practitioners that live there, and they admitted that they knew that he did these things, but they weren't going to speak out about it because they could get this TV deal with him. They could get, you know, different things. So to me, you're not spiritual at that point. Like, you shouldn't be a practitioner if you're condoning and making space for this so you can continue to benefit for yourself and just ignore that these things. That's why I think like it's part of New Age spirituality. That's just self-help. Like, you're not actually helping the collective and understanding what is important for the collective. Similar like how we're talking about with current events. Like, you can't just sit by, and you have to do something about it when there's injustice and things. And I know that could be just like my personal path as a soul, which seems like yes, let's bring it up to the surface, because if we don't, then it's only going to fester and cause more harm in the future. So
he has an audiobook.
Topics are really important, and I also do feel like karma has its way of coming around. Again, like as you were describing that and what you said, I would never do something like that. that for a client if they asked me. But that's just because I believe that karma will come back to get you, and it's not in my like power in my hands to do that.
No.
But
we need protectors for the people
Yeah.
that we're taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And we need to try this energy. The way that hexing works is like everyone has free will and everyone has energy. And if you're sending me this energy, what do I want to do with that energy? I don't want to receive that energy and hold it in my body. I want to send that back to you and help reclaim my power and autonomy for what you did that you took advantage of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think hexing is fully on the table, at least for me, just because people get too scared with like the balance of energy, like the rule of threes, which by the way is completely made up. All that kind of stuff. Like, why is that there? Like, if it's made up, and why does everyone listen to all these pieces? Like, they're just listening because somebody else said it. Some man made it up in the 1960s. Like, that's it. So
we should do a whole episode on that
Wicca
too.
So to me it's not like there's a practitioner here in Burbank, and he's more like left hand right hand path, which I don't super agree with because it's culturally appropriative, but it's more of it's energy, and it's energy that's available, and how do I want to manipulate the energy? It's not good or bad, it's just energy. So like he works with like if there's like an accident where someone dies and it's safe to go like to the space afterwards, he will scoop some of the dirt from that because it's energetically charged. He doesn't see it as bad that it's someone died. It's just energetically charged, and he wants to harness that energy, right? Because the energy is neither created nor destroyed. So like if I'm hexing, I'm harnessing that energy and choosing with my intention and power what I want to do with that energy. And I feel like obviously you shouldn't just like hex people for no reason, right? Like I have limits. Like I don't think you should hex people just because they're succeeding over you or they're better than you or they hurt your feelings or something like that. Like that's not it. I feel like when we hex, it's like this person took advantage and raped people, right? Like that is something that I feel warrants this person is still getting away scot-free with these things, you know, still hasn't been taken to jail. So there needs to be these balance of energies that are planted and put out there. And it also helps people like reclaim their autonomy if they've had like abuse or assault or different things like that. Yeah, totally respect if you're like
empowering for you to facilitate that, to be, especially what we talked about with love, having this gift of being the spiritual lawyer, like negotiating in the spiritual realm.
Hello.
It's like your energy has the capacity for that, and that definitely is needed. Right? Like that's why we have systems of justice.
And it was a similar thing to that past life that you just talked about. Like I was the person who was the witch that they knew, and so they're like, what do I do? Can I turn to this person? You know, like creating that space for people to find their power, to reclaim their power.
Exactly.
Hexing is pretty sick. I haven't done I haven't dabbled like that much in it. There's so much.
Sorcerers, if you would love to do like a whole hexing 101 little workshop.
And it's cool because it uses a lot of like
I want to learn a little bit more too. Like it's not something that's really ever been a part of my practice. So that's why I haven't felt called to touch it.
Because I feel that hexing pulls from the emotions that we don't listen to or we don't use in spirituality. It pulls from anger. It pulls from rage. It pulls from sadness. It pulls from injustice. And those are things that people tell you to not explore and to water down and to ameliorate and to see it as bad. And
there's so much beauty in that.
It's sacred. The rage that you're holding, the energy that you're holding in your body from that thing, you can release it into that and like put it back on the other person, right?
Or you can channel it into art. I mean, how many beautiful paintings, songs have been created from those raw emotions?
I think it pulls upon like those spaces that are not often explored or used in our modern society, at least like normally, generally. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like there's some cool hexes. Like they use like rusty nails and like it's like all kind of like icky stuff. It's pretty cool. There's some stuff on like TikTok and stuff. There's actually another witch that I am mutual friends with that has like a products business called the Brujas Tomb.
Mm-hmm.
And she has like a product that's called Hex Your Ex.
I've seen a lot of people on TikTok hexing Trump.
Oh, yeah,
Elon.
100%.
Like, I feel
Get
like
on
I'm
there.
on Witch Talk, so that comes
Hex that
up.
bitch.
Yeah.
Amen. If we're all sending this energy that he gets what he deserves, maybe it speeds it up.
Yeah, it's like, why should a known abuser have that position of power?
Exactly. Literally, exactly.
Like,
Both of them are.
yeah.
Both of them are.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's child, like, is trans, and, like, he doesn't even acknowledge
That's so sad.
their transgender.
That's heartbreaking.
He also has, like, 11 or 13 kids.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
I saw a meme where someone was saying he's a man whore because
Yes! He's a cancer man. He feeds the stereotype of cancer men being the worst,
We're both
according to
sitting here with
astrologers.
cancer men.
Oh yeah, we both have cancer men partners. So I'm an unbiased.
Yeah.
I should be biased in the other way, yet I still agree. That's funny. We both have cancer partners.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think that was all the stuff we wanted to talk about today, right? Oh, there's one other thing you want to talk about.
Yes. Okay. So I was just messing around last night and learning more about the origin of my name.
Oh, yeah.
So the Lynn part of my name, I already knew translates, at least in Irish culture, which is my DNA. I'm mostly Celtic and Eastern European, and I also have lineage with the Cherokee as well. So this part's really interesting because in Irish lore, Lynn translates to of the water or waterfall, which is what you saw for my soul, the primordial essence of water.
Which we covered in the podcast.
Yes.
And it's already been recorded, but we're not releasing it until after this.
And in Eastern Europe, Lynn translates to the heart of a lion, or like lion energy, bravery, hardiness, boldness. And I was just like having a whole moment because I was like, how have I not pieced this together? Because I work, talking about underworld deities that we work with, I work very closely with the lioness goddess Sekhmet. She is my goddess, right? Like and it is honestly so wild how many times I've been giving sessions where the client will tell me that they see a lioness energy.
Is that the like Egyptian deity for your birth month too?
I didn't know we have one for a birth month.
Oh yeah, mine is Hathor.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's Hera, Juno, who's in your first house. Wait, I didn't know that we had one for a birth month.
Yeah.
The way that I started working with Sekhmet is also the similar story to my connection with Thoth, where it was a statue that was my landlord had for my first business in Minnesota. And yeah, she just gifted me a statue of Sekhmet too. I am so curious about this. Our astrology signs.
So you're February what?
Oh, so I'm April 11th.
No. April 11th is Thoth.
Of course. That's also my main, like my first one that I was ever introduced to. But Sekhmet was the next one, and she's my goddess. And I just thought that was so like,
what is
in my
Josh's
face.
birthday?
He is July 13th. July 13th.
Oh, never mind.
So he is
Seth. No, July 13th?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. It's probably out of order. Here, he's Anubis.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I see that.
That's the one that I wanted mine to be, but it's Hathor. But that makes sense because I have the...
With Hera. Yeah. Of course, though, it totally tracks because that's my main deity, too, that I work with. But yeah, I was just like, how have I never put this together? And like the power of our name. And Ty that part of my name, it in Celtic lineage will translates to the one who owns land or resourceful energy. And Native American culture, Ty translates to friend or a friend energy. A good friend. So I just thought that was like, how have I not like known these things about my name, and also the power of your name. Also, Lynn in Germanic translation translates to snake, which is another animal for Athena, like Athena, Medusa, snake medicine.
Yeah, so I ran into this thing, like if you haven't looked up the meaning of your name, please do it, because names hold, words hold power, names hold meaning. They say, like, I always tell my clients, if your spirit guide or someone you're working with in the spiritual realms gives you a name, Google what it means, because it can let you know, like, why they work with you, why they're there, right? If you look up the history of a character or a name or a meaning, and doing the same for your own given name. Your parents might not be spiritual, but subconsciously they could be tapping into something, right? That they don't even know exists. Yeah. And it's like spirit leaves you breadcrumbs that, and it's like you're looking up, you're like, oh my God, dude.
Like my mom found my name watching in the 90s Family Feud, and it was a Playboy. It was an episode with Miss Americas against Playboy bunnies, and there was a Playboy bunny on there named Tylynn. Damn. And then the rabbit has always been a connection because I was born on Easter.
Oh, true.
So the bunny part is also interesting.
It's like
and
all this is there for you. It's juicy information.
And she didn't have any other, like, she knew, like, that was going to be my name. She knew immediately I was a girl. Like, there was no doubt. Like, she always knew I was a girl.
They thought I was a boy at my first ultrasound. They were like, there's the penis. I was like, hell yeah. And then they came back and they were like, it's really common that happens.
Yes, I am non-binary. Yeah. Hello.
And then they came back in the second ultrasound. They're like, there's no penis. My mom wanted to have a boy first too. So I bet for like that one like couple weeks was like,
yeah. And
then came back like, there's no penis. Like,
oh, okay.
But yeah, so I had the same thing happen to me. Like my dead name, my birth name, it means to be loved. And like when I was like stepping into my given name, I had a temporary name that was my Jewish name, that I chose based on my Jewish name, Riv. And then I knew it wasn't going to be forever, but that was part of a given name to me. So it was like a step in the right direction. And then with love, like my incarnation cross is the vessel of love. And so I was like, like, why don't I just step into my purpose? Why don't I just really embody
as what your birth name had the meaning of?
But I didn't even know it at the time. Yeah. And then I Googled like the meaning of my birth name. I'm like, to be loved. Like, come on, man. Like, it's already kind of hidden there. Yes. And at the same time, I was like visiting my grandfather before he passed and going through all these like family photos. And there was like this photo of my mom. I posted on my Instagram. In this like big, like, those like big nightgowns that are like t-shirts, and she's pregnant with me, and it says love like on the tummy, like with a big heart, like it was like a pattern printed on the t-shirt. And I was like, see, Mom, you knew I was gonna change my name anyways, like, don't get upset. And she was like, your grandma bought that for me. And I was like, my grandma is on my spirit team, and she saved my life in the spirit realm, which is a crazy story. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, like grandma knew. And she was a Sagittarius, and I'm a Sagittarius rising, and she died early. So I'm just like, there's a lot in that. Yes. But yeah, so if you want to look up the meaning of your name, I like how Tylynn did it. Like, look up the different etymologies from different lineages.
Yes, the different lineages.
Especially the ones that you are a part of. Even looking up your last name. All last names like stem from like positions or jobs that we used to have, like for the most part. Or families.
Mine's like so obvious, my actual last name. But I use my middle name, like that's what I go by, Tylynn Mackenzie. And Mackenzie means the fair one.
That is, you were like, let's not hex. my middle name is Rebecca, which like Riv is the Hebrew. So my Hebrew name is Yisraela Rivka. Rivka is Rebecca in Hebrew. So that's where that comes from. And it's in Jewish culture, you name it after your after a past family member. So it's after my great grandma. But yeah, so I looked it up. Look up the different lineages, the etymologies, especially the ones for like you did, like for your culture, for your lineage to see. Be careful what website you're using, because like some of them it's just random people like typing in like what they think the name means. So vet your sources. Maybe look at like more of like a dictionary type like etymology like website or something like that. Or just like if you see it somewhere else, confirm it in another few sources. And then maybe it'll give you some information into who you are and what you're supposed to step into in this lifetime.
And things you probably already know because you're already in those realms. I just was flabbergasted though. I was like, wait, what? Like the lioness energy has always been there for me, and like she's my goddess. And it's I can't, like I told Josh, I'm like, I can't even count with my hands like how many times clients have literally seen Sekhmet, like the lioness goddess. Like her energy is so palpable in the fields.
I gotta open up to Hathor, right? In my non-binary journey, I've just rejected all the feminine stuff. So I'm like, I want the masculine deities because they're cool. And
Sekhmet is very masculine. Her vibes is like very like.
But Hathor is not. Shit. Hathor is like the cow.
Well, actually, they're connected. So people say that Hathor and Sekhmet are like two faces of the same goddess. So they're so it's a triple goddess with Sekhmet representing like the crone energy, Hathor the mother, and Beset the maiden.
Yeah, because the mother archetype, I was like, no, I want a cool one. But I guess I'm gonna have to
Hathor
get into
a badass.
I know, I'm gonna have to just
and
accept
that's why
myself.
Like there's a connection with Hera, because Hera is known to be the cow-eyed goddess, and Hathor is said to have the features of the cow. So they have that connection, and she's a badass. I've seen her in multiple healing sessions. Like I have quite a few clients with the deep soul connection to Hathor. She's really connected with the energy of Blue Lotus. Like that always comes up with her, and the energy of sound. So it's not surprising that you do sound baths, because when I work with Hathor, it's like in the sessions with people that have that soul connection with her, it's like we go into this temple and they're utilizing sound frequency, like taking people into deep states of hypnosis, like reprogramming, like with the sound. It's really powerful. Like her motherly energy is.
That makes sense. Because I always want to speak more in my sessions and then I get scared. Cool.
Yeah. So sorcerers, let us know what your name means. And also if you have a connection to like a certain goddess or energy, or if you want us to deep dive. Yes, if you want us, I could do a whole episode talking about Sekhmet.
We can do the work for you. Call Jacob.
Or if you want, love to do a whole 101 on hexing. We could do like a whole episode on that. And I will learn. I will be a student.
You're like, I will learn but not partake.
I might. Who knows? I might change my mind.
Maybe I want to hex.
I mean, I feel like that's very Sag moon of me to be like very open.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
my friend that has that business, she hexed her ex and like she blocked him because he was like abusive. So her friends will like see him where he works, and she's like saying like he's going bald. She was like, I came for your looks.
Karma has a way of coming around. So be a good person, sorcerers.
Try your best. It's not being a good person. It's having good intentions and having a resilient ego so that you can move through your mistakes. That's what makes you a good person. It's not about like any person that's like, I'm a good person, red flag. If you have to prove to me and tell me that you're a good person, no, that's what your ego wants you and others to believe. If you are a good person, you just are a good person.
If you're a good person, you don't go around saying that.
Literally, good people don't walk around saying, I'm a good person, trust me, like, I have good intentions. They just do it. They be about it. They embody it. Same thing with the like, you know, the meme online where it's like, I'm an empath, I can feel energies, says like the most horrible person that has ever, you know, like it's usually it's the ego. The ego is like, I am sensitive, I sense it. It's like, great, but are you like actually, if you're empathic, are you actually holding space for other people? Are you being kind? Are you acknowledging or doing something?
Question to ask yourself.
So don't try and be a good person.
It's not about trying. It's about implementing, taking the action, and taking accountability.
Exactly.
When you do make mistakes or when you do say something that's hurtful. Yeah,
because if you tie that belief to your ego, to your sense of self that you're a good person, then when you make a mistake, your ego is like falling. It's like, oh, I'm a shitty person. I can't take this. I can't look at it. I can't accept it. I want to reject it. You know, you struggle more with it. But if you look at it in less of this black and white term, you're like, I did a shitty thing. I will own up to it. I will learn from it. I will acknowledge and take accountability. It doesn't make me a bad person. I just made a mistake.
From an angelic perspective, they see our nature as humans. Like, we have an innate connection to pure goodness. Like, we are born into the world. And
I can see that. Children are just like that, you know? Babies are like that.
Yeah. And it, like, that goodness, it's also something that lives within you at all times. So I want to also note that, like, that deep connection from an angelic perspective, that they see us from that lens.
Yeah, you always have that available.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a weird note.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
The angels believe in you.
Yes. If you could see yourself from the way that the angels and your guides and your benevolent ancestors see you, like, if
I do that in my meditations. I bring in their spirit guides and I let the spirit guides speak to them how they see them in their perspective, because I feel like it's important.
It's amazing. They have so much, like, humor and lightness and love, and there's no judgment. Yeah. Right? Like, we talked about in our 2025 themes, like, judgment for them is really a form of evolution. So they just want to provide that sense of love as we continue on this path of evolution. And we're also here to support you, Sourceers, on your path of evolution. So let us know your thoughts on this episode. Please leave us a review so that this podcast
we until the end again.
will grow. Yes. Because we want more people to have access to this, like, real, grounded, actual, authentic spiritual content that's not bullshit.
Yeah. So please, we're growing our community. We want to reach the right people. We want to help people step into their power. You never know. Just shoot your shot. Like, if you could share this with 3 people that might be interested, you don't have to make them listen. Just be like, yo, I'm really vibing with this. I recommend it. Yeah. You know, if you want to post it on your Instagram story, hey, y'all, found a new podcast that I'm really enjoying. Check it out if you're into blah, 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 blah. You know, like,
please share.
If you can leave us a review on Apple, Google, Spotify, to let other potential people that might be looking at the podcast and deciding if they want to listen. These things go a big way, you know.
Huge.
They make a big impact, especially reviews. Like, they make a really big impact on if someone will see it, will like it. It ranks higher for Apple Podcasts and things like that. It's not just listens, it's shares and reviews too. So we really appreciate it as we're, like, building, if you could support us in that way.
We're in the growth phase right now. And we are setting that intention to create more of these episodes. So we want you there, Sourceers, to vibe with us.
We want this to be a long-term sustainable podcast. And we want to be able to reach as many people as possible, because our mission is to help y'all step into your power. And in today's society, I feel like everyone needs a little bit of that, at least.
100%.
At least. We are so grateful for you. We're grateful for your shares and your reviews. We're sending you thank yous and hugs and kisses.
And we'll never hex you, Sourceers.
I'm not going to make that promise. I'm not going to make a karmic contract promise that I'm never going to hex certain people. I don't know who is listening. It could be my haters listening. So watch your back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not like that, guys. You could see I was very fair about it. Like, if you're a rapist, I'll hex you, right? Like, come on, we can all agree about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tylynn will never hex you.
All right, Sorciers. That was a weird note to end on. Okay, bye, Sorciers!
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Sorciers. We can't wait to hear your take on all the magic we talked about.
Follow Sorciers on IG and all other platforms to let us know your thoughts and get involved in our community.
You can also follow Love at Love Sakratoff on all the platforms.
And Tylynn at Tylynn Mackenzie, or go to my website, templeradiance.com.
We'd love it if you could leave us a review on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, and share Sorciers with anyone you feel might benefit from magical community right now. Hail Jupiter!
Thanks for seeing into Source with us.
Bye!